This is Thoughts with C, J, and L.
A podcast by three Asian American people with thoughts on being Asian, American, and people.
In this episode, we're talking about our thoughts on season 3.
All right, guys. Why are you guys laughing?
We can't see you, but we saw you.
What up, my fellow listeners? How's it hanging? So, by now, you've listened to all of season 3, and I'm sure you have thoughts on them, but so do we. So let's hear up for season 3. So I don't really have is there a formal outline for today, or can I ask questions?
No, just do whatever.
Okay, cool. Because this is an unhinged season. So to start off the unhingedness, you guys were laughing like really hard, and it's making me a little concerned.
That's what you said in the last episode.
Really?
In the self-reflections one. When you were talking about the steak and ice cream.
Oh my gosh. Because you guys thought it was true. Like, I can't believe you agreed with society.
We never said it was true. We were just laughing.
Well, you didn't say it wasn't.
Wait, but we didn't say it was true.
We didn't say it wasn't.
All right, let's
So, ladies, chill. Okay, so when we brought up this last topic, I was like, I kind of just had like a lot of thoughts in general about how season 3 went, what kind of outcomes had occurred, and so forth. So I was just wondering, before I get into specific questions, if you had any overall thoughts. I have a sticky note full of them, so no worries if not.
My initial thought is that this is my favorite season so far, mostly because I can't listen to the past seasons without cringing.
Oh my gosh. Okay, literally, that was one of my points. So let's go on that.
Go on.
Okay, so I re-listened to season 1 and season 2 because, well, not like all of them, but just a few that I knew I could get through without wanting to rip my ears out. Because, and this can segue into a later conversation, because we got some new listeners and I was like, oh gosh, what did I say? So I went back, listened to it. It wasn't good, guys. For our new listeners out there, I just want to say, I need you to know that I cringed so much. And I think in one of the episodes, I was like, listen, like a couple years from now, I'm going to be like, Loho back then had no idea what she was talking about. And it's so true. A year and a half, 2 years later, year and a half later, season 1 Loho had no idea what she was saying. Season 3 Loho still has no idea what she was saying. But now there's like I have more of a disclaimer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I hate it also, though, that I hate cringe. I hate that I was cringe, but it does show that we are learning and we are growing as individuals, if that makes you feel any better. Like, the fact that I am cringing means that it can only go up from there, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I actually noticed when I was editing this past season. Okay, first of all, my editing speed has gone up a lot just because like I'm more familiar with the whole process. But also comparing like how we recorded in season 1 versus now, because like we always record for an hour and we cut it off. We limit ourselves so we don't go over time. But for season 1, our episodes were always like 15 to 20 minutes long, which means we cut out 40 to 45 minutes of fluff and like tangents. But now our episodes are like 30 to 40 minutes long. So like we cut that bluff in like half. So I feel like that in itself is an improvement.
Oh my gosh, go us.
And also like our existence episode, because like in season 1 we basically just turned on the recording and just started talking, and then for like the past 2 seasons we've been more organized with how we approached each episode. But for existence part 2 we basically just turned on the camera again and then started recording. But I thought it was a lot more organized than season 1, so maybe we're just better at talking.
That's not true. Well, for me, that's true.
Or we're just better at editing, so it's like
Yeah, Because I think the self-reflections episode, I said I wanted to get better at communicating. But maybe it's happening and I don't even know it.
Yeah.
Kat, any initial reflections?
Well, I will say that I have not listened to any of our previous episodes since July of 2021. When we listened to it together. Yeah, so the last time I listened to an episode was July 2021. And the last time I listened to anything from season 1 was I don't even remember. I don't know.
Well, what about this season?
This season I really liked. I mean, yeah, perfect. Not perfect. But like, okay, let me collect my thoughts. So I think that I really like this season because we covered stuff that was relevant and topical to us now. But I feel like that's the case for the previous seasons too. We were just different people then. So that's why I feel like even though my takes might not have been as good, even though our editing may not have been as even if we like tangented a lot, it's cringy, but it's still authentic.
No, but that's true. Like, there's no way I could have changed anything that I had said in previous seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm like thinking about, I think maybe we said this at the beginning of season 2, but also I don't know for sure because, I haven't listened to it. But we were talking about how we wanted to like document what we think of things and how that changes. And if that's our overall goal, I'd say we're doing pretty well. And I also noticed, I think, that the season, like season 3, has been a lot more like lighthearted. Like the biggest thing that I remember from season 2 when I listened to it in July was just that I sounded really, really sad.
Oh my gosh, no. Okay, Kat and I were in a car and we were listening to it and we were like, oh my gosh, we sound so depressed. And like it was bad.
There's a part in the mental health episode where I just go and I haven't been able to forget that. I mean, but the thing is though, like think about when we recorded that episode. It was like winter break, like December 2020, January 2021. And that I think was a pretty dark time for most people. Because it was before like the COVID vaccines came out. It was cold. It was really snowy that winter. Like, I don't know. So I mean, again, true to the era.
No, but then see, I think it's like we're still the same level though of depressed, but in a funny way, if this makes sense. Because literally in the self-expressions episode, Kat goes, oh yeah, I'm gonna die alone. But like but it's more lighthearted.
Clearly I haven't moved much there.
Yeah, but emotionally, yes. But that all being said, I feel like it is like very special to have both of you. And oh my gosh, I'm getting sentimental. Like, don't start crying. But like, but it is very special to like have both of you and have it being documented. Like to have people go through all of these things with me and also like offer advice and like have your advice shape season 3 Loho. Like I don't know. I think that's really special and cool. And like we're not like other besties if you think about it.
I agree because I think that especially with this season, these are all topics that we're like rehashing for our audience, but we've already had these conversations. Like we just have these conversations. Yeah.
I feel like that was the case for internal monologues and introverts and extroverts, kind of, but for lifting and self-expressions, I don't think we really talked about those stuff as much. Or maybe it's like bits and pieces, but it's just like we never really sat down and were like, let's self-reflect or let's talk about lifting specifically. Because we talk about like health and fitness, but we don't really we haven't really talked about lifting.
Yeah, I agree with the lifting. The self-reflections.
It's just like we do give each other updates and stuff. Like, I mean, because we try to hang out virtually. I don't know, like once a week or something, and like we do give each other updates, but it's like we don't really sit down and like ask each other questions of like, what do you want to get better at, or what are you working on, or what are you tabling, or whatever. I don't know. I think it's good for that episode specifically. I thought it was really nice to have it all in one place and be like, okay, these are the goals that I'm setting. These are like what's going on in my life, and kind of like draw from everything else that we're doing in like our place in life, I guess.
Yeah, I agree because I
Yeah.
was thinking that with the reflections episode, I feel like I didn't necessarily learn new things about y'all. Like, I feel like I knew, like, once you all said what you said, I was like, oh, yeah, that is consistent with what I already knew, slash, maybe I already knew that. But the format that we did it, yes, not a format that we like have our conversations in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's like weird because I mean, it's not weird, but it's just very direct. Like it's very intentional. It's not like
Hmm.
in a that's not the word I was looking for. Anyways.
Wait, intentional was it?
Like you're right. The answers that everyone gave is like, yes, I can definitely see you answering that. And like if I had to answer the question for you, that's exactly how I would do it, kind of thing. But like in normal situations, you don't really ask those kind of things. Like
Mhm.
they're too, what's the word? It's like intentional, but it's not. Organic. Organic. Oh my gosh. It's not as organic. Like you would never do that to somebody that you see every day. I mean, like you can, and sometimes I do, but that's not really how I approach conversations.
I feel like that's true for a lot of episodes that we've done in the past, where especially the ones that we've planned out, because we just have like, okay, this episode we're going to talk about like physical health, or that episode we're going to talk about existence. But it's like with each episode, it's like, okay, we already have a topic in mind, and then like let's bring like all of our previous thoughts into this discussion, right? But it's like in a normal conversation or a casual conversation, most of the time we just talk about like what's going on or like what's happening right now, right? We don't really go into topics that are like not as relevant or like not as like specific, you know?
Yeah, they're kind of abstract,
Mm-hmm.
like questions, less like doing things and more like, oh, if you had a second to think about something, what would you do?
Yeah.
I think we are a good mix of scripted and not scripted, so sort of semi-scripted, because we do, I feel like we've alluded to like our outlines in the past. So we do, plan a little bit, but also we don't plan everything. We have like maybe questions. We're like, oh, think about these questions before we start recording. Or if anybody has any burning opinions to throw out immediately, please go ahead. But we are also pretty off the cuff, and I think that's charming.
In her humble opinion, I don't know. I just really can't wrap my mind around the fact that people listen to us. Not you guys.
No, we love our listeners.
We really do. I'd like to be friends with all my listeners. Not mine, our.
It's just you, Oho.
They only listen for me.
Yep.
I
I
mean,
listen for you.
Cat, don't do that. Don't do that, Cat. That's dangerous. But like, if you're gonna spend time to listen to what I have to say, I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, do they think similarly to me? Do they listen to it out of spite? Do they think, wow, that's a really obscure question. I've never, like, that's a really obscure response. Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense though, like the way that we advertise, perhaps the way that we advertise our podcast is very grassroots. So, like, the way that, the people that listen to us are going to have similar opinions to us, kind of thing. And like, my friends are probably going to be similar to your friends, and your friends will want to listen to what I have to say, kind of thing. But
Mhm.
still, I don't quite get it.
Here's another thought too that I have that I've been thinking about with this season is our project has had pretty good longevity. Like it's been what, almost 2 years. Like we posted our first episode at the end of July 2020. And it's almost, I mean, not almost July 2022, but we're getting kind of close.
Too
And
close.
yeah, we're still going. I feel like it's because our personalities pick up each other's slack.
This is
Go
true.
on.
I no, was I talking to you about this, Jam? maybe I said it in a group conversation. I can't remember. My memory is bad these days. I have too much going on. But I was like, so I feel like I'm the type to have a lot of really like just random chaotic ideas and I have to like do it and then get it out of my system and then it's done. But it's not really super sustainable because I'm like, basically everything's a short-term project that I need to get out of my system. But then, and then, okay, Jam, I feel like is very consistent. And so that's definitely helped the longevity of our project because it's like, well, it's not a short-term project that you just do once and get out of your system. It's like something we can do again and again and again, and it's still fun. And then Loho, I feel like you are like, okay, let's take breaks and not make this crazy intense thing that we're like slaving away at. And so I don't know, we like balance it out. Everything's, I don't know.
And in terms of our friendship too, like I feel like we were talking about this before, where like Kat has a lot of chaos, and then like Loho brings like the lightheartedness, and then like apparently I'm really good at spiraling and asking questions, so we balance each other out.
Apparently, I'm really good at spiraling. What she means is she asks really good questions.
Yeah, I did not realize that my questions had such a big effect on people.
Literally, I was thinking about this and I was like, I think if I didn't know you, like if you weren't my friend, I would maybe get frustrated with your questions. Like they're so profound that it's like it makes me almost uncomfortable. Like, you know what? Does this make sense? Like I wouldn't want to
Oh, I mean,
share it with someone else.
I got you. Like the whole loneliness thing. Am I lonely? What is loneliness? I still don't know.
I don't know, man. Well, I did say in a previous episode that because I ask a lot of questions because of my social anxiety, or like I get really anxious in conversation. So I'm like, okay, might as well just like ask more questions and make the other person talk. So I guess I've just like honed that skill to a T. So
Oh my gosh, wait. This is a little tangent. We're going to go back to your question thing. But I was listening to the self-reflections one and I was like, I could never in my entire life like imagine me prioritizing like boys over, whatever I want to do. And at first I was like, wow, good for me. And then I was like, no, that's just a trauma response because like you had no love life in middle school. And so you were like, okay, to protect myself, I'm never going to think about it. That might be too deep, but
no, this season 3 reflections episode is just us giving disclaimers on our previous episode.
wait, literally, that's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So you ask, very good. Like, but I think like they're good questions that people need to think about. Or I don't know. I feel like I'm lucky. I'm lucky in the sense that like they're prompts in a special journal that not a lot of people read, but like I got to read it and I get to think about these things.
Aww. You should just FaceTime me when you journal. I'll just give you all the questions.
No, I'm gonna start crying.
Dude, I'm gonna start crying thinking about how far we've come though. And also we need to make sure that season 4 happens. It's when,
Okay.
not if.
So this is a good segue. So this is another bullet point that I had in my little note thing. I don't know if we want to share with the listeners, but talking about our futures, just how we think the podcast will either like impact our futures or what we'll take away from the podcast that we have now and like, where we're going in our like respective lives, but also putting the PSA out there that we need an editor. If anybody's listening and wants to edit for free and support women in Asian American women in media, give us a call. But if we wanted to talk about our futures and kind of like what we think the podcast will mean to us in the future or how we'll take with us in the future, I thought would be a little fun prompts.
Oh my gosh, Loho with the prompts.
Yeah, I learned from the best.
Well, I think the future is uncertain, but I'm fairly certain that we will have a season 4.
Maybe after we're all done with school.
No, I think we'll make it work. Or I'll make it work.
It's going to be
the power of God in anime.
No, it'll work because Kat will be like, this is a fun, quirky thing to do. And Jam will be like, all right, we're doing
Yeah, we got this far. We can't stop now.
Yeah, I also
Yeah.
think that we've got ourselves like a sustainable model going, where it's like, oh my gosh, it's all full circle. Like this is going back to the mental health and burnout stuff, where it's like if it's not an obligation, then you won't. And you give yourself breaks and you let yourself take the time off that you need to come back to things that are fun, then you won't really burn out. And then like you'll make time if you need to make the time. And so like, I feel like we've set ourselves up pretty well with this whole season thing and also with the specials like that we did, where we can like do a chaos special every once in a while. And then when the vibes are right for a new season, we can do a season.
I love how the mental health episode is the only episode that you quote because it's the only one you listen.
I've been exposed.
Okay, self-expression and existence are the only ones that I've listened to.
We've covered all the bases. Yeah, I think we'll find a way. It will be busy though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think us all going to grad school is just another pandemic, Instead of like a virus, it's academia. And we'll be sad about it, but we'll have documented it.
Oh no, I'm getting sad.
No, this is supposed to be an exciting. No, well, I mean, if the vibes are sad, then they're sad.
No, let's make it lighthearted.
Oh yeah, Loho coming in to save the day.
Literally, okay. I want to share with the listeners some BTS. Kat and Jam, like, love you guys, Steph. Don't be wrong.
Okay, I was thinking about the other BTS.
So G and RM. But I think that we could do it in grad school because, like, there are YouTubers, right, who document their grad school experiences. Why can't we?
We're making it happen.
Yeah.
You gotta just manifest it.
Mm-hmm.
It will happen. Anyways, what were you saying, Loho? About BTS?
Oh, Kat and Jam. The dedication that they have for this podcast and like the amount of energy they put into it is insane. So much so that they would be like, guys, we need to hit this deadline. And I'd be like, guys, this is a fake deadline that you put up for yourself. And then they're so organized with all these folders and all these little like agendas, and they look so pretty, like better than any agenda I'll ever make for any school assignment or real life thing.
Okay, I'll preface that. No, I'll asterisk that. I'll asterisk what you just said though, because that's like my literal job. My working adult 9 to 5 job is like keeping information organized.
Yeah, but you don't need to bring it to the podcast, but you do.
I guess so.
The same way I could do so well in Ultimate Frisbee League, but I don't.
No, but Loho brings the energy in the episodes, and every time I'm editing, I'm like, I don't know, man. It's just like the jokes that you make just keep me going. There's like a period in the episode where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can keep editing. Like I'm kind of cringing. And then like Loho will swoop in with her lighthearted attitude and like just save the episode. And also like Loho keeps us from burning out, because I feel like if it was just Kat and me, like we would burn ourselves out within like 2 episodes.
No, I feel like you guys bring that out of me though too. Like, listen, I could have fallen asleep an hour ago. And if I were talking to other people, I probably would have, but I do it for you guys. But also, so since we're giving each other compliments, Kat, literally, like, I hate it because I'll explain something and it'll take me at least 20 sentences. And then Kat will be like, oh, so you mean XYZ? And I'll be like, yeah, exactly. Why did I waste everybody's time? And Kat, like, just gets things, and I feel like it moves not only the conversation but also just like how we plan these things or what we want to talk about. So anyways, hate you both.
No, that is true though, because well, this is why editing saves our butts, because like there are moments I feel like I don't know what I'm talking about, and then I stutter, and then I have to literally like piece together what I'm saying for it to make sense in the episode. But when I'm editing Kat, like literally it's just minimal work. It's just I take out a couple likes and a couple ums, and then we're just good to go.
You know, I actually think people have said that to my face. Like they've been like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm saying and I'm just making noises and waving my hands." But then I'll like say back what I think they're saying and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's exactly what I meant." So I don't know. I'll accept the compliment. Thanks, guys.
See, it's because you don't have an internal monologue, so that you always have to do that.
Yes.
That's like a snap.
You don't have system 1 and system 2 arguing in your head, and so you don't second guess yourself.
Yeah, you like literally have to formulate thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we covered this in the internal monologues episode, but I don't think about anything that I say.
Which is a gift.
No, it's to my detriment a lot of the time.
Oh, please.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Wait, we never answered your question about like what we're gonna take from this podcast and like
I know, literally, you guys both just decided. You're like, no, we're not going to take anything away, because we're all going to do it in the future. Because like that question makes it seem like this is the end. Yeah, no, the podcast isn't ending. It's not if but when.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm literally taking nothing away from this podcast ever. I didn't write down about this answer.
Do you want to share your answer?
I can say something and then you can say your answer if you don't want to be alone.
Okay, go ahead, Kat.
Well, I think we have all changed and change is good. And change doesn't feel like change while things are changing, but you look back and things have changed.
Can someone replay that and count how many times she said change?
We'll add it to the end.
A change counter, a cash register. Get it? Okay.
That was pretty clever.
Thank you. And that's exactly what I wanted to say.
What?
Nothing. I feel like personally, I'm a little more confident because of this podcast. Just because, well, maybe it's because it's all edited, but at least, well, within ourselves, like we have actually interesting topics and thoughts that I think I am usually too shy or self-conscious to share with other people. But now I'm like, there are other crazy people out there like me. I just gotta find them.
I feel like I was gonna say something similar, where honestly, thinking back to like when we first started these Zoom calls because of the pandemic, and like we started having these really extensive discussions on like random topics, I feel like before that, I didn't really have a space to discuss things or like talk about my own thoughts and ideas. And then so like I feel like with the podcast and having this platform and having the space just to talk has helped me kind of organize the thoughts that are going on in my head. So it's like instead of a whole like chaotic blob of things that I'm thinking about, I'm more able to like articulate what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling. And I also feel like within the past 2 years, I feel like I've changed a lot as a person. And I feel like I've gotten a lot more confident. I think not only with our friendship and like my like relationship with like other friends, but it's just like I feel like my confidence has grown a lot and I'm like more sure of myself as a person. So it's just like I feel like even though it's like really cringy looking back at some of the stuff that some of our past content, but also it's a good sign because I feel like I've changed a lot throughout the time that we've been doing this, and it's good that we have it documented.
I think even just saying things out loud kind of helps the momentum of like how you actually feel about something manifest itself into your life or like turn into who you are, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I literally don't remember some of the things I say. And then I listen to it on the podcast and I am like, oh, I guess I did say that, you know, which was a little problematic. But I really didn't remember saying the steak and ice cream thing at all.
The steak and ice cream thing will live on forever, rent free in my brain.
Literally. And that's why the podcast is so good, because if it was never recorded and put out there, no one else would have ever known or remembered it, because I definitely wouldn't have. I would never use that again.
And this is why we need to keep it going so we can keep documenting our lives while we're in grad school and dying from school.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to school.
Me neither. Let's just not.
Yeah. I literally think about it. I'm like, why did I do this to myself sometimes?
Also, it's kind of wild that like all three of us, our career paths are like kind of similar. I'm pretty sure like when we first started, we were all taking like those standardized tests for our respective paths. And then like now we're all going to school basically at the same time.
Yeah. Don't love that. That is kind of crazy though, because we also had like completely different timelines of like post grad stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Aw. Someone tell season 1 Loho she does get into grad school.
Aww.
Oh
Don't tell Kat and Tim. They already had it coming to them.
no. I feel like so it's really interesting that you guys are talking about what y'all are talking about because I was thinking about okay, so we all kind of journal, right? But I feel like we all journal for different reasons. And so for me, when I journal, I like to periodically, sometimes it happens, more close to the time period than others, but I like to periodically go back and read my old journals just to kind of like remind myself where I was, where I'm at, where I wanted to go, where I'm going, that sort of thing. And I don't know. I'm thinking about like how I approach journaling and how I approach reading back my old journals, and it feels pretty similar to like this podcast and how things have changed because, well, it's different when I listen back because I have to like listen to how I sound. And so sometimes it's really like there's a lot of dissonance because I can hear like the sadness or the defeat in my voice as opposed to like reading it, in a text, which I feel like less personal maybe. But it's kind of the same because I'm like, I hear myself make a comment and I'm like, oh, that's funny because I probably would say the same thing now or like have the same energy for this topic now. And that's kind of comforting because it's like, oh, I was the same person then as I am now. But then I'll say something totally off cuff and I'll be like, oh my God, I remember thinking like that. So then it's like, oh, well, I've changed there. So yeah, maybe that's what I was trying to get at with the whole like things will change, but they also won't change, but they also will change. I don't know.
I do agree with what you're saying though, because even with the episodes that I have listened back to, it's like sometimes I hear myself saying something and I'm like, oh, I don't think that's exactly what I meant. And like I hear the way that I say it, because it's like, yeah, like you said, it's different from journaling where you basically only have what you're writing and like your handwriting to go off of to kind of gauge how you were feeling and thinking at that time. But with us recording ourselves talking, there's sometimes where I'm like, oh, I hear myself saying whatever, but at that time, maybe I didn't really mean it like that. Or like there are a lot of things in my mind that I wanted to say, but I held back. I could hear it in my voice kind of thing. So even that is like interesting to look back on. And I feel like for me personally, that's definitely an area where I've grown because I feel like in season 1 and season 2, I was extremely hesitant to say what was on my mind. I felt like I couldn't really articulate a lot of my thoughts. And so I would have a lot of moments where I basically just sit in silence for like a minute or something because I'm just trying to think about things that I'm trying to say. But now I've realized in season 3 that a lot of times, I don't really do that as much anymore because I'm more confident in what I want to say. I like know myself better. And so like the words just kind of come out of my mouth now instead of me like second guessing myself. So maybe I'm becoming like Kat.
No,
And
no, I
Kat,
was just gonna say, I think we definitely switched because thinking back to like season 1, I was just saying things, man, like absolutely no thoughts. But I've noticed recording this season that I will like sit and be like, okay, what do I actually think about what they're saying, and like try to listen, and then that leads to me like not talking for really long periods of time because I'm like, I need to think about this because I actually want to like say something,
no, that was yeah. That was literally me in season 1. When I was editing it, I was like, wait, I haven't talked in like 10 minutes because I was literally sitting there and trying to like formulate my opinions. And then like YouTube would just be like going off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like not even part of this podcast right now. But now I'm like in season 3, I'm like, wait, I'm like talking so much more. And I feel like that's a win for me.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how like growth happens differently for different people because I think like me thinking about my words is a huge dub. Yeah. I definitely just said a lot of words early on.
I've also noticed that. So it's not just podcast editing, it's also apparent in our other interactions. But one thing that hasn't changed, Kat's love for
Wait, is that why we recorded the celebrities episode?
I bet.
Cancel culture, I think.
Celebrities and cancel culture.
I don't remember what was said in that
I don't
episode.
remember either. I don't even remember what we had like 8 episodes in season 1 though. We were like really consistent for a while.
Mm-hmm.
There's also like no topic.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay, this is the summary of what happened. And that was the title of the episode. Oh, this was a topic I was going to bring up, but maybe this is the cliffhanger for season 4. Literally, I know that the simulation is real because the amount of people that I've met that match other people that I've met or like are very similar to people I've met. Like, not only can I match people on the Frisbee team to like other Frisbee players that I know, it's like evident in all my classes and like meeting people. There's people are just copies of each other, but in different fonts. I will say I have yet to find another Cat and Jam.
Aw, we're special. Not like other besties.
Oh my gosh, no, it's because you're literally a part of the simulation. You're here to like destroy me. But
No,
like,
that's how we know we'll have to do another season because we haven't talked about the simulation.
Yeah.
oh my gosh, season 4 is just the simulation. So season 3 was unhinged. Season 4 is simulation.
Mm-hmm.
So in the meantime, if anyone wants to be our editor and edit for us while we're in grad school, you'll get all the behind the scenes to the chaos.
Yes, you'll get Jam's questions, you'll get Kat's big brain, and you'll get my lightheartedness.
Yes.
And we'll give you a little treat too.
We'll make you part of the squad.
Oh my gosh, we'll get you merch.
Yeah.
All right, don't DM us too quickly now, everybody.
Should we season 3 TLDRs?
Oh, I can't believe season 3's over.
Season 3 almost didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys better be grateful. I'm gonna be the best parent.
TLDR season 4 will happen no matter what.
TLDR, we need an editor. Also, TLDR, anything I say in the past, the present, and the future will always have a little asterisk and disclaimer because whatever I say, that's not the full picture. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
TLDR, the chaos never stops.
Bye, Jane.
Bye, Jane.
Bye, Jane.